April Fool's 2026. It's the perfect time to get out some information that everyone's been alluding to but not saying. The short version is that Charles was a child prostitute for Lord Lou Mountbatten. When Charles grew up to the age of 24, he started to engage the services of a 10-year-old child prostitute called Keir Starmer. And then Charles made Keir Starmer a lawyer, a judge, leader of the Labour Party and Prime Minister. And he's now trying to give the UK back to the EU. The EU is a front for the Catholic Church. So that's the short of it. And how that came about was George VI married Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon's maid, and Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon went to France and died at the age of 50 in 1950 of a heart condition at the same age as her brother died, age 50, of the same condition. So Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon's maid produced Elizabeth as a Turkey-based child with excuse me, with Winston Churchill as the sperm donor, and Winston Churchill was the illegitimate son of Edward VII, who was the illegitimate son of Lionel Nathan Rothschild. So the British royal family are actually Rothschild Batards. So Lord Lou Mountbatten and Prince Philip, or Phil the Broke-ass Greek, they extorted George VI and Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon's maid on the basis that Elizabeth was illegitimate, and that way Phil the Broke-ass Greek could marry Elizabeth and have total control over her and the throne, which he did. His only caveat was that he had to attack the true English royal family. The British royal family are completely fake. They are not British, not royal, and not a family. They all have multiple parents. And paedophilia seems to run in the family. Now, in 1814, the Rothschilds trained, or they changed out carrier pigeons for homing pigeons, and they trained homing pigeons to fly from Waterloo to Bank in London. And then the next year they had the Battle of Waterloo in Waterloo and flew the pigeons to Bank and gave the message, etc. And over that, the British royal family bet the right horse, but they were told it's the wrong horse, and they lost all their money. And then the Rothschilds said, we will fund the British royal family in exchange for breeding rights for 200 years. So those 200 years of breeding rights started in 1819 with the birth of Princess Victoria, who became Queen Victoria. She was the daughter of Baron Jacob Rothschild, the French Baron Rothschild, and they look identical. So that carried on from 1819 to 2019, and the prophecy is that it will be for 200 years, about 200 years, that the Rothschild would have the breeding rights. So what's happened now is the British royal family are not British, not royal, and not a family. They've all got different parents, and they're all basically Rothschilds with a few strays. George V was the son of Tsar Alexander III. That's a stray. Andrew, so-called Prince Andrew, is the son of Lord Porchester, and so-called Prince Edward is the son of Lord Plunkett, and Charles is the son of Jacob Rothschild, and William is the son of Jacob Rothschild. So Charles and William are actually half brothers. And William and Kate's children are not theirs because they've got blue and green eyes, and the children have brown eyes, so they're just Rothschild plants. And Meghan and Harry don't have any children. Meghan's had a hysterectomy, can't have children. And even the British Parliament wouldn't give their two children royal titles because there was no proof that they existed. So that's kind of an interesting tell. right? So Prince Charles was traded to Lord Louis Mountbatten in exchange for King George VI and his wife Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon's maid being illegitimate and a replacement, and Elizabeth being an illegitimate Turkey-based child. So that meant that Lord Louis Mountbatten owned their firstborn as a child sex slave, and that was Charles. So from Coronation Day on, Charles was a child sex slave for Lord Louis Mountbatten, and even the newspapers reported that their relationship was extraordinarily close, which is BBC code for pedophile relationship happening. So I did an interview in 2015, 2018, and I said, Charles is going to destroy the UK before he hands it over to me, and that the first to go would be Prince Andrew and Prince Harry, because they're the closest in age to me. And that's turned out to be exactly right. Charles is destroying the UK. He's trying to give it to the EU again, and the EU is front for the Catholic Church, which, as we know, is also a pedophile movement. So Charles was a child prostitute for Lord Louis Mountbatten from the age of 4.5, from Coronation Day on. And then he grew up to be a pedophile. And at the age of 24, he was engaging the services of a 10-year-old male prostitute called Keir Starmer. And in exchange for his services, Charles promoted him to a lawyer, to a judge, to the head of the Labour Party and to Prime Minister. And guess what? Keir Starmer's trying to give away the UK to the